statistical output and say, you know, does this measure up? If this was on, okay, let's shoot for the stars, but if this was on CNN, or I will take Unique Tehran wrote in. Yes, come to the mic, please.
Hello, my name is Ahmed, and I work in DPI Web Services. Been here about almost 12 years. I'm also I think I'm the only DPI staff representative at the union, staff union. So I just had a question. Maybe you have the answer, you can get the answer about the SG not being totally pleased with the coverage, because it can be tied into many different things. If the coverage is about his character, his presence, I think we overdosed on the coverage of the SG. One of the many things that I think is a setback to our department is the focus on the characters and the individuals, not the thematic topics. And then covering the thematic topics that are of interest to the regions is also being looked at as a language thing. It's probably a good idea to look into the managing structure of these things, not necessarily polishing the skills of the staff. These staff, I've been working with them for over a decade. They're seasoned, they know what they're doing, and they actually have a better vision of what reside in the region that they come from than their managers usually. But when any campaign gets cooked in a DPI kitchen, it looks good here in New York. It just doesn't taste very well somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And we also look at, we just have to translate that statement. Sometimes not the language, it's actually the whole thing is not kosher in that region. So consultant coming in, probably better to work with mid and upper management to see if they can broaden their understanding of what a regional coverage is, not necessarily a language coverage is. And then for the SG, I hope we tone down the SG. I mean, I don't like feeling like I'm working for the guy. Okay, we want to work for the UN. He's a colleague like everybody else. If he's not happy about anything, everybody else is not happy about everything. And we covered the SG too much, especially previous.
Short on time, I totally hear you, and thank you for voicing these sentiments. Definitely, I agree that it's hard sometimes to translate things. I mean, and what we formulate in English is a very certain kind of English, and actually sometimes doesn't make a great deal of sense, if I may be allowed to say so. And you really realize when you try to translate it that it actually doesn't say too much. So that's definitely something we need to watch out for. As far as the SG is concerned, in the modern world, I think it's a reality of the modern world that institutions require faces and identities. I don't think it always has to be one person, but I'm, genuinely impressed with what I see, so I think it's worth exploring what this man has in mind. Whether we have to, certainly I don't want some kind of hagiography. I don't know what it was like under previous Secretaries General, but I think that Mr. Guterres is the last person who would want to be sort of narcissistically at the center of something. I mean, he said that specifically. If you hear that he's unhappy, I mean, I think that may stem from a message that I delivered at a meeting last week. This is a questing, restless man who wants to do his best. And I think questing, restless people question things. It's the spirit of inquiry and readiness to embark on different ways of doing things rather than a kind of finger wagging. At the same time, I'd certainly want to continue the conversation with you personally and with others as to how we can best realize change in DPI. we're kind of severely over our time limit, but one very quick last question. Sorry? Okay, I'm being told we're going to be kicked out anyway. So, to just quickly answer the question from Unique Tehran about provisions in the SG reform agenda of concern to DPI and Unix, yes, I think there are a lot. I mean, if we're not engaged in the same effort here, then we're not working all for the same organization, tugging on the same rope. I really thank you for coming so early in the morning to listen to me. This definitely won't be the last time we have such a town hall, but in the meantime, think about the ideas that you might want to feed into the discussion that I intend to start in the middle of October. And my office door is always open, even if that means actually an email door.